All right. Grant, thanks for being here, man. I appreciate it. I'm excited. I get to talk to you and you get to share a little bit of your experience and working with me. Why don't you just tell everybody really quick, like where you were before you kind of came in to start working with me? Like, what were you experiencing as a parent that was probably one of the hardest things for you and some of the challenges that you were facing that led to you working with me eventually?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, first of all, hi. It, it was quite a big jump for me to go into trying to get this level of coaching and guidance on raising a kid. Uh, my eldest was having really massive avoidance issues with going to school
Yeah.
and showing up. It was just really unmotivated, and my my response to that was to just scream and shout
Yeah.
and say, like, just toughen up and get through this. And I just wasn't reaching him. And after about maybe the third private school, um, one of the teachers there said, you should talk to Matt Maynard about some tips and tools on how to specifically combat this avoidance. Um, and at one point, I I think there were about 2 to 3 months he didn't show up for school at all.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh, and and part of it was COVID and the Zoom
Yeah.
schooling, but it made it much harder to re-engage. So I was looking at all the practical things, especially how I was raised, which is like, you're never late for school, and like
Yeah.
whatever happens, you get there. And that was a sign of like success and expectation. So I just repeated the process. So when we called the first time we met, and I met with my wife and you, um, it was like, oh, I've got to do like this reading up about stuff. It's like, can't you just can't you just fix the whole thing? It's like, and why are you talking to me? Like, you should be kind of
Talking to him.
kid.
Yes.
He's the one with the problem.
Yes.
It's like, no, this guy is the one with the problem.
Yeah. Well, it wasn't that there was necessarily a problem. Do you feel like you had
Oh, there was a
tried every?
massive problem, but not with him. Like
Yeah,
the
yeah, yeah. But what I'm trying to, I think other people when they talk to me or when they're trying to work with me, one of the things that I tell a lot of people is like you don't know what you don't know. And so like you talked about like your upbringing and how you tried all that. I know also that you and your wife like read a bunch of, and especially her. I mean, she was constantly looking into other things and
yeah, more
trying
her for
on this
sure.
and that. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, but she wanted that. She wanted the delivery of the information that way.
Yeah. Yes. Yes. Yes.
Because if you want to just learn the theory of it, the tools are there.
Yes.
But I'm a visual person. I need the interaction. I need to practice it. I need to hear myself talk about it out loud. The the so and again, like, I'm the problem. So
Yeah. You
I needed more
realize.
than the theory.
Yeah, you realized, and I talk to people about this all the time. More often than not, it's user error, right? Like
Yeah.
what the
Oh, for
parents are
sure.
trying to do
Yeah.
is well intentioned, but it's
Yeah.
massive user error. So once you started implementing some of my stuff,
Yeah.
how did you find the material? How did you find the program like helpful? Like what was actually the most helpful for you and maybe even your wife?
Yeah. The helpful tool is that it's almost like having a cheat sheet. So you where in the past we weren't prepared to kind of take on a situation.
Yes.
So by not having the tools, by not having the strategy to handle the situation, almost makes it worse because you end up becoming more frustrated with each other and
Yeah.
yourselves. But now you have a playbook where it's like, look, if you just stay the course, if you start from step one, like, you know, build rapport, validate but don't accommodate.
Yeah.
Uh, and it's interesting. Like it actually, you realize this behavior is throughout your entire behavior. It's not just
Yeah.
towards your kid.
Yes.
It's to your business too. Where which
Yes.
is why we still talk on a regular basis.
Yes.
It's like there's this almost accountability thing that you're constantly on the right path. Yeah, it's not like you're going to AA or anything, but you got to check in to say, look, am I actually on the right path? And it becomes a practice, just like yoga or
Yeah.
meditation or something. And for me, adding that tool uh, helped me create formulas to reconnect, or maybe even just connect for the first time with my kids in a real legitimate way.
Yeah.
Where I'm not coming at it from this operating system of my parents and how I was raised. I'm raising a happy, healthy, independent person who can go out there and fall down and earn self-esteem, because
Yeah.
you do fall down. That's what happens.
Yeah. Yeah. Did you feel like the system that, or the framework that I built,
Yeah.
because some people, they're worried, like, oh, they hear that I have a system or a framework, they're like, oh, is it gonna fit? Is it too rigid and it doesn't actually fit for most people? Like, how did you feel the system was in regards, like, because you have a pretty specific set of a problem, right? So, like, a
Yeah.
lot of people would say, like, oh, there's no way that a framework that's flexible could work with something so specialized. Like, how did you experience that? I'll let you speak for yourself. I mean,
Yeah, it's well, the thing is that it is a platform, which is remarkable in itself. So just like you can plug software into something and get a good outcome, I think that if you're open to it, which I am and was, continue to kind of build on that learning. It's like studying anything.
yeah.
I think when you rinse and repeat this process, you only become better.
Yeah.
Uh, and I'm sure it's slightly different for other people, but pretty much the same. Like, the concept of um, having great tools, especially for children. Um, you see, like I've seen the benefits of that in the relationship that my children have with me now,
Yes.
and
Yes.
and that would never have happened if
Yeah.
I wasn't open to uh, talking to somebody about what should I do,
Yeah.
um, but also working hard at it. I it actually requires the work as well. It's like
Yes.
if you're not engaging this, it's going to be useless.
Totally. A thousand
Um,
percent.
but it's
Did
actually, yeah,
did you find, I'm sorry to interrupt you, because I have a question that goes off of that. Did you find that,
yeah,
like,
yeah.
did you think that you could actually ever get to a place with your family or with your kids where relationship wise it's as good as it is? Like, did you feel like that was even going to be close to possible based on like where you were going prior to you coming and working with me? Like, did you even think that was possible with your own tools?
I actually think about that a lot, and my immediate answer is impossible. Uh,
Okay.
but then again, we could have probably continued,
Yeah.
because I would have not been any wiser.
Yes.
But it would have only led to massive problems of mainly how I would feel about myself and how
Yeah.
others would have perceived me as well. And uh, I, I, I would have never thought I could be personally in such like, I don't even say positive, because I wasn't negative, um, but I'm grateful.
Yes.
That's probably the biggest thing, that we were able to, exchange perspectives, and I was able to learn new things that made me a better person,
Yeah.
and made me feel so much better about myself. And you you can't learn this at university. You
Yeah,
know,
yeah,
like everyone has their own situation to deal with, and you only have the tools you have. You know,
yeah.
it's like when I met you, it was like, wow. Like I walked into LL Bean or REI, and it's like, oh, there's this tool that I can, use to go mountain climbing. I've just been using my hands and bare feet to try to get up this mountain. But there's a path around it that Matt just showed me that I could go. It's like, oh, I'm just going to go on that path. It's
Yeah.
much like,
Do
and the path of least resistance is actually not bad.
Yeah, yeah. So that was my other question. Did it feel like it was a lot of work, or do you like based on what the framework that I gave you guys and that you
Yeah,
worked off of? Did you feel like it was cumbersome and difficult to implement? Because I think a lot of people when they hear that there's like an audio component and there's like an audio book, a
yeah,
workbook component to it,
yeah,
like it feels like it's a lot of work, or that it's going to be so cumbersome that it's
yeah,
essentially useless, right? Like it's almost like
yeah.
so academic that the application of it's like laughably impossible. Like, how did you feel the translation from like theory to application was?
I think, uh, well, I've seen two sides. So I've seen my wife engage it and, you know, suck it up. Um, I was more into the video content
Yeah,
because that delivery helped me a lot. And sometimes watching those multiple times, or when I felt like, what was Matt saying about this, I could go back to the stuff and just get a refresher. Um, I thought it was, I actually thought the structure of everything, depending on who you were, is there, like
yeah,
as little as you want. But it's definitely like all about the fight and the dog. It's like how much do you want to be better? How much do you
yeah,
want to improve the situation? And the more you want to, I think the more you're going to engage it, and it doesn't really matter the delivery. I mean, I could see a lot of this um, almost like an audio book. Like for me, the
yeah,
delivery of something like that on a regular basis, on top of the you know the like the regular reading, could be enhanced. But you do that stuff. I follow you on Instagram, and I
yeah,
and I see that. So the little check-ins are good. Yeah. But to answer your question, I thought it was all there. And I mean, for a blanket course for everybody, it's like everybody should just take that and digest it and
yeah,
try it at home. Yeah, it's like home cooking. It's like, here's a recipe. Just go to the store and buy those ingredients and then try it out at home a little bit,
yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
chip away at it. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, because I think a lot of people they're like, oh, there's like, I have to do this. How much work is this really going to be? Did you feel like it took a lot of work? Did you feel like the application or rolling it out? Did you feel like let me here more
I
better
felt
better
I was
question?
a
Like,
long way away from
yeah,
like my goals once I started reading it. So the overwhelming nature of like, wow, I've been doing it completely the opposite. Like that
yes,
that realization was almost hard to engage at first because you kind of have to face up to it, right?
yeah,
And
yeah,
it's like, oh, but then you get into it, and about the time where you're trying out part one, and it could be, establishing principles and consequences. When you start to see that work, and day two, the kid is not, instead of being 2 hours late, they're an hour and a half late,
yeah,
and by day six, they're like, you know, they're kind of on time, but they're bitching about it,
yeah, yeah,
you know.
yeah,
And then by day 22, they're getting up and they're telling you like, why are you still in bed, Dan?
yeah, yeah, yeah. Which did you think you'd ever have that problem?
Never in a
Yeah,
million
yeah.
billion years.
Has this now? Let me ask you this: How has this now led to your, like, what has this now done for your kid or your kids?
Yeah.
Now that you guys have rolled this out, because you haven't just done it with one of them, you've done it with all of them. Have you noticed that this has created character or pride or self-esteem? Like, has that transformed?
Yes. Yeah. In everyone in the family. Yeah. Yeah. Because when you're doing something right and you can see the results of it, I'm building my self-esteem from that.
Yes.
And I think it's the same with the kid. They're just operating it the same way. And um, the maybe the underlying thing that doesn't come out at first is that by the end of it, I'm not looking at the kid anymore. I'm looking at myself.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
if I'm okay, everything's okay.
Yeah. So you looked to kind of manage you better, knowing that that would ultimately lead to them getting better.
Yes. Yes.
Solid.
Yeah.
Solid. Now, for what you paid me
Yeah.
versus what you've gotten for results,
Yeah.
where would you say the value was? Would you say that this is at value, below value, above value? Where would you put it?
Yeah. Well, if I had to think about it, which I never do, uh, I think I've told you that you're the first person on payroll.
Yeah, yeah.
But I think for what we spend on other things and other people and services in our life, like if you think of the gardening service,
Yeah.
uh, just as a straight example, my hedges will be fine, but I won't be,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And like, what's more important, my garden or how I feel and how the people around me are operating because of how I feel.
Yeah.
And that's a difficult journey, but you can't do it alone. And I'm grateful for everything we've done and for the tools that I'm learning. And I can't imagine not seeing you every week. Sometimes I feel like you're going to fire me because you
I'm not firing you, Grant. Don't worry.
uh, but I'm always thinking it's like I can't leave because I'm learning so much.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's incredibly valuable to me and everyone around me. Like, if you charged 1,000 an hour, I would try to figure out a way to make to make it so that we could do it.
Totally. I
It's how
appreciate that. I
you know.
appreciate that. Well, I'm super happy you got awesome results. Thank you for jumping on, and I really appreciate you taking the time to talk to people because I know hearing from real people that have been through real struggles and that really they're looking for resources. I appreciate you. You're going to help out a ton of people get access and believe that what I have is of value. So I appreciate you taking the time, buddy.
Awesome. Yeah, I wish you all the best and thanks for everything and for the continued support. I really appreciate it.
My pleasure, buddy. Thanks.
Bye.